Shalom, my brothers and sisters. Shalom and welcome. This is The Inward Man, a series that reflect the things that stir within inside of me that I am compelled to present to an awakening nation, drawn by the Spirit of the Almighty Father Yahuah, as a result of our actions that reflect lifting Yahusha HaMashiach up and witnessing him draw us together, we who are set apart by the power and might of the Almighty Father Yahuah. My name is Symmanayah, and this is a moment in time. In this segment, my brothers and sisters, this is the third segment. I want to say to you, with each passing day, do not think for a moment that we are marching, standing without movement. There is movement. There's refining going on. We are being disciplined, structured, and shaped to fulfill something phenomenal, something that has been written, the final Exodus, the final gathering of the set-apart children of Yahuah, which will prove to consist of both Hebrews and Gentiles who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father, who understand and discern that no one can come unto the Father except by the Son, Yahusha HaMashiach. My brothers and sisters, today, this moment in time, I want to say to you that end times include schedules. Yes, end time includes schedules. And many of you may have seen posts or videos or notes or had discussions with me where I talk about the timing of Shabbat. I talk about how I am compelled to guard and honor Shabbat from morning to morning. I didn't say sunrise because sometimes clouds are there. I didn't say sunrise because in prayer and seeking to understand the cycle of Shabbat as it relates to the seventh day Shabbat. From my studying, from my prayer, I am compelled to and convinced that it is morning to morning. With that said, my brothers and sisters, consider these words before I read these three scriptures. Consider these words. Ships are lined up at the coast. Extreme times have risen. There's much destruction going on. There are captains at the ship, and they are told at a certain time to bring the ships to the docks and allow people to board. There are captains that are pilots to planes, and they are told to open the doors and bring the stairways or drop the loading pads so that people can load at a certain time. And they are told, do not approach the loading pads, and because destruction, something is occurring, something is phenomenally happening. And they're saying, do not go there yet. And then they're saying at the appointed time, shut the door and proceed towards the promised land. Now think about that, my brothers and sisters. Think about that. If we believe wholeheartedly that there would be a final Exodus, there should be some expectation. There should be some insight and acceptance and belief to know that there is a schedule, that there are schedules, that we will not just be beamed to the promised land. We will be placed in motion and journey towards the promised land. I say this, my brothers and sisters, because just think about this for a moment. What if prematurely, what if you went to the area of the docks before time, too soon, and a tsunami was washing against the shores? You would be risked at death. If the boats were still sitting out from a distance and the tsunami came or high tide came, you would be risked being drowned. What if the planes did not come to load yet because there was a tornado or a storm, but you went too early, too soon? Sure, it could be said you went too late. Just what if that was the case? I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, this is important. A final exodus requires movement, and movement requires timing, and timing requires structure, leadership, and order. Otherwise, you have bottlenecks and congestions with no results. With that said, my brothers and sisters, it is important to research, to pray, to seek earnestly to discern the drawing power of the Almighty Father, so that you know when to guard Shabbat, so that you know when we can work towards movement as it relates to this final exodus, as it relates to supporting those who may journey, even if you think you may not be one. Keep in mind, end times include schedules. With that said, let me read something to you, my brothers and sisters. Exodus 20, verse 9 through 11. It says, 6 days you labor and shall do all your work. But the seventh day is a Shabbat of Yahuah, your Almighty One. You do not do any work, you nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates. For in 6 days Yahuah made the heavens and the earth and the sea and all that is in them, and rested on the seventh day. Therefore Yahuah blessed the Sabbath day and set it apart. Let me say to you, my brothers and sisters, many of you don't realize, but Sabbath means seventh. Yes, Sabbath means seven. You see, we've been programmed and have embraced so many languages because oftentimes we were born in a culture and that was the language. And the scriptures in its original form conveyed the message of the seventh day. It was a counter. So Sabbath means seventh, my brothers and sisters, seven. In some languages you might see here Sabado as a different word. There are different variations of the word Sabbath, but it means seven. Seven. I want to bring your attention to realize in verse 11 it says, for in 6 days Yahuah made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Therefore Yahuah blessed the seventh day, or Sabbath day, and set it apart. Hold that thought, my brothers and sisters. Keep in mind that if Yahuah is doing this, there's a cycle, there's a pattern, and Yahuah is light. So it begins with light before Yahuah is light. Many people will read in Genesis and start talking about there was morning, there was night, there was morning, then there was a day. And they forget that Yahuah, who is Aleph Tah, who is the beginning, he is light. So it began with light and it will end with him who is light. If you doubt these words, my brothers and sisters, pray, for it will be important. Let me also read Revelation chapter 21, verse 23. Revelation 21, 23. It says, I'm going to start with 22. Revelation 21, 22, and 23. It says, actually, 21, 22, 23, and 24, I think are important. So let me read. 21 said, and the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Each one of the gates was a single pearl, and the street of the city was clean gold like transparent glass. And I saw no dwelling place in it, for Yahuah, the Almighty One, is its dwelling place in the Lamb. And the city had no need of the sun. This is my point. The city had no need of the sun nor the moon to shine in it, for the esteem of the Almighty One lighten it, and the Lamb is its lamp. And the Gentiles of those who are saved shall walk in its light, and the sovereigns of the earth bring their esteem into it. There was no need of the sun nor the moon. Verse 23. So remember, Yahuah is the light. Throughout Scripture, it talks about us being children of the light. My brothers and sisters, this is paramount. And if you doubt this, there was something given by the Messiah, quoted by the Messiah in Matthew's 24th chapter. Matthew's 24th chapter, verse 20. It reads, and pray that your flight does not take place in winter or on the Shabbat. Here is talking about the end times in the 24th chapter of Matthew. And most of you may be all too familiar with it. But he emphasizes, the Messiah said, pray that your flight does not take place in winter or on Shabbat. You see, my brothers and sisters, the timing, Shabbat timing is going to be important. So I ask you, are you confident that you should be chasing darkness on Friday or the sixth day as it start to get dark? Are you confident that we who were created to be most productive during daylight hours, we who was created to have a cycle of work during the daylight, we're not owls and we're not nocturnal animals, that's when we do most of our work at night. We are children of the light. We didn't always have electricity. Keep in mind, at one point we were most widely an agricultural people. So the cycles of work went from morning to morning. That is the counter, my brothers and sisters. I'm not here to debate you. These are words to those who are being drawn by the Most High. These words are to those who the Spirit of Yahusha is stirring within you, saying, come away from the wicked teachings that would teach you that it's from night to night, from the wicked teachings that would encourage you to race home as it starts to get dark on the sixth day. These words are to free you from the bondage of an age-old wicked teaching, an evil teaching regarding Shabbat's timing from nightfall to nightfall. Do not be deceived by looking at the text. Keep in mind, man has tampered with the text and threw in the word evening. Evening. If you begin to dig and research, you will see that actually it goes through a transformation where evening meant where daylight and night was separated. And then someone took it upon themselves to say, well, that's talking about towards the nighttime. And then you may say another took it saying, well, that's talking about as day begin, as night is ending. Sure, one can say who's right. We don't really know. I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, this is the time. This is the hour. This is the day to begin to allow the Spirit of Yahusha to reveal to you when to honor and guard Shabbat. For it is important in these end times. It is important towards the schedules that are ahead. For as we find ourselves in motion, in movement, as the final Exodus begins, we will see some people who will end their Shabbat on that seventh day as it starts to get night. And therefore they will start movement too soon. Some will get involved with partying or celebration or activities in work and spending in commerce too soon. And they will find that there is a cost to pay for that error. I will end here, my brothers and sisters, and say be encouraged. End times come with expectations. End times come with discipline and refinement. And the inward man, that spirit we have within us that is joined with Yahusha HaMashiach, that spirit whom it is quoted and said in the scriptures that the Father will send the set apart teacher, the Spirit of truth, the comforter, in his name. And I'm referencing John 14th chapter of John, which I often reference. 14:26 and John 15:26 as well, I believe. Let me go back. Yep. John 14:26 and 15:26. I'll read John 14:26. And you meet me halfway and read 15:26. 14:26 say, but the helper, the set apart spirit whom the Father shall send in my name, he shall teach you all and remind you of all that I've said to you. Though man have tampered with the scriptures, my brothers and sisters, there's a powerful and almighty set apart spirit in Yahuah that was sent in Yahusha's name. Why? For us to recognize his plan, for us to recognize the sacrifice, the resurrection, the sending of his set apart spirit. It is a process. And we will find that Yahuah, the Almighty One, he laid out this plan. So be encouraged. It will unfold. It will become clear, and we will be freed from the strongholds of wicked teachings and practices. I will end right here. End times include schedules. And this is regarding Shabbat timing. Until next time, my brothers and sisters, never be afraid to ask questions. Never be afraid to dive into the scriptures in whole, deeply and richly, to come up where you can identify and discern the power and might of the Spirit, making it clear who is right, who is true. Until next time, my brothers and sisters, Shalom. Shalom. Shalom.